Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the founder and lead investigator of Deep Woods Paranormal. Next to me, you have the Raggedy Andy doll. I'm pretty sure somebody custom made this and essentially loved him very much. They even put a shirt on him, a Captain America shirt on him, which I actually like. You can kind of see the baby dolls up above me, and then they're over on top of that shelf, and then, of course, directly behind me, Raggedy Ann is behind me as well. So the reason I've got this doll, you can see the creepy baby head behind me. She's a really old doll. I think she's got some kind of attachment as well. A little girl is attached to her. This little guy seems to have a little boy attached to him. From time to time, you can see what his sewn face looks like, but you'll see what looks like a person's face, like a little kid face. Come through, and it'll be more rounded around his face, and you'll just see it kind of like turn and look and turn and look. It's really cool. The reason I've brought him on today is because everybody keeps asking me about Annabelle. They want to know about Annabelle, and then what my thoughts are on Annabelle traveling. Louisiana, there was a couple things that happened that were chaotic. They want to know if I think that caused, the jail escape and the building going up in fire was caused by Annabelle. And Annabelle also traveled to Texas recently, and that's when I got all the comments and, hey, Matt, what's going on? What do you think about Annabelle? And everybody at work is like, oh, what about Annabelle? And everybody's asking about Annabelle. So my belief with Annabelle is that she definitely is demonically haunted in some way. I've never seen her. I did not go to visit her. I did not want to. I don't feel like reaching out and going to look for the demonic is something I'm interested in doing. So I don't go looking for that stuff, guys. I do deal with it. I go and I clear homes and I help people with that kind of stuff. But I don't purposely go looking for negative energy or negative entities either. I don't go into those locations looking for that. Sometimes when we come across it, you have no idea how difficult it is, number one, for the person that's dealing with it. Number two, for the person that basically has to live there, and for me to try and figure out how do we get rid of this thing and how much time and effort it takes to go through and do the research and try and figure out how to clear that home, because each location you go into, it's a little different. It's never the same. These entities figure out, okay, he did this last time, I'm ready for this, and Binks. Sorry, we got a new kitten, Mr. Jack. So you might see him scurry across. That's Mr. Binks. But anyways, so you from time to time we do come across those cases, and we will have to deal with those cases. And it's not fun. It's a lot of work. It usually involves several trips to the house or the location that's going on. It's very disruptive. Binks, you can get disrupted. Okay, dude. Okay, your door's closed. No big deal. So, we do have to sometimes go to the location multiple times, which is very disruptive for the owner of the home, and he's got a lot to say. And so, anyways, we, I don't go looking for that stuff. That stuff is nasty. I deal with that sometimes on a daily basis, being pushed, being shoved, being hit. Being burned, stuff like that. Just because I've done so many home clearings, I have unfortunately anticipated in a few Catholic rituals to remove spirits from people. And I'm not going to get into that, but I've talked about that in the past. If you want to look back for that, you can look for that in our podcast here. We have over 200, I think, now. So anyways, or getting close to 200, I should say. But yeah, so haunted dolls, especially like Annabelle. Annabelle really started out as, from what I've read in the history books and from listening to interviews with the family and the people that originally had her, it started out peaceful. Annabelle started out as a peaceful doll. She basically would stay on the bed. They would make the bed. They'd put her on there, and she would move a leg. She would move an arm. Her position would be different when they came back. And it was peaceful, and she loved the doll. And then it went from peaceful to more aggressive. And that's when the Warrens were called in. And then things got out of hand. So, got a poltergeist cat behind me. But so as I went, they were able to get Annabelle into a case. Oh, we got a cat visiting us. So they got her into a case and blessed the case and were able to confine her to that case. The Warrens, if you don't know, the Warrens had been investigating for a long period of time. Unfortunately, they dealt with a lot of negative or demonic cases, whatever you want to call it. Not fun cases. And it really burned them up, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not easy dealing with the paranormal, number one. Number two, when you get those kind of cases, it takes a lot out of you. And it changes you. It really does. Thanks. Shh. I think he's looking for Jack. But anyway, so thanks. Calm down. So, anyways, he and Lorraine basically would go into homes and clear negative energy out of homes, negative empties out of homes, remove haunted objects. And one of the objects they collected was Annabelle. So they took Annabelle and they put her in this room along with other haunted objects, and they would have that room very wholly protected. Maybe if you're not into religion or you don't believe in religion, just call it, a positive, more of a positive vibe. They kept a positive energy in that room to combat the negativity that was attached to those items. Usually when you have an item that has negativity attached to it, something's happened. Something very tragic has happened to a person or to that item itself. Maybe it was very loved, and so an energy gets created and it's left on it. Maybe if, let's say, somebody came in and took this Raggedy Andy doll from me and in the middle of the night, and it just disappeared. Well, I'd be frustrated, I'd be sad, I'd be mad, I'd be all those things, right? So that energy is left, maybe that imprint is left on the doll and maybe on the area where it was taken from too. Maybe this room has a very positive vibe. It's very relaxed. Even though there's a lot of entities in this room, there's a lot of things that are attached to a lot of things in this room, none of them being negative. I don't allow negative things in this room. I take them out of this room and I deal with them. And then sometimes they go to other people or whatever that can handle that kind of stuff. I just don't want that in my house. Anywho, so that negative energy is left on that doll or whatever, and then that negative energy can turn into a demonic entity or a super negative energy that can reach out and do harm. And I'm not going to say possess people, but it can, sometimes it can. Sometimes it can possess people. If that energy is transferred from, let's say, the doll to me, then that could possibly possess me. There could be an energy that's transferred to me or an entity that is transferred to me and is able to basically manipulate me in some way to have negative thoughts or whatever you want to call it. We're kind of doing a deep dive here, guys, so bear with me. In the case of Annabelle, that's pretty much what's happened. Unfortunately, she has had so much negativity around her that basically, it's scary. And that entity has gotten so much power from people pretty much being afraid of her or whatever, that it's able to reach out and do things to people. Leave the doll and move around if it's not contained. And essentially when you bless an item, and I know there's people out there that are not religious, so just bear with me. Let's say you neutralize an item, that energy can't pass that barrier, if you will. And so when you don't have that barrier anymore, that entity or whatever, that energy can get out and do things that it shouldn't be able to do. I know this all sounds crazy, but this is the paranormal. And if you're listening to this, you are paranormal, you're into the paranormal in some way. You're either trying to figure out if it's real, or you're on the fence, or you're a believer, you're a knower, or whatever you are. So hopefully some of this makes a little bit of sense. But she's been all over the world, not all over the world, all over the United States, and she's traveling around to different locations right now. She went through Louisiana, Texas. I believe she's in Pennsylvania. I think a building blew up in Pennsylvania, if I'm right. I don't think anything happened here in Texas. I think some inmates escaped when she was in the Louisiana area, and then also a building or something caught fire when she was in Louisiana, and everybody's trying to blame Annabelle for this. Now, I mean, I think that's kind of a stretch, but I mean, it could be possible. I mean, when you take a doll like that, like I said before, and you move her to a different location, and there's not that protection around her, a barrier to keep her from doing things, I mean, I would honestly think that she would probably be more inclined to possibly hurt somebody, or possibly try and I don't think the spirit or the entity or the demonic entity or whatever you want to call them, the negative energy, is able to possess anybody. But it definitely is able to physically harm people and scare people and do things that are not fun, in any way, shape, or form. I mean, imagine waking up in the middle of the night and the doll's like sitting on your lap or something, or something's happening in the house and you're hearing like footsteps, or you're hearing whispering, or you're being awoken to a shadowy figure roaming around your room, or doors are opening and closing on their own, or other things, lights are going off and on. That's creepy as hell. I mean, I'm a paranormal investigator. I've seen all that, and it doesn't really scare me that much anymore, but it does get my attention. Let's put it that way. When that kind of stuff happens. So basically, I think that she just basically she gets a really really bad rap. I think she gets the more attention she gets, and the more energy people put into her. I think the more influence she has, if you will. I think that people will blame her for anything at this point in time, because of the movies and because of everything that's happened. Were the Warrens right to lock her up? Yes, I think so. I think if she had the opportunity, she could really hurt someone. I really do. Or she could do something worse. Or she could use a person to hurt someone else. Or worse. Do I think she could cause somebody to go, do something terrible to somebody, and decease them? Or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say anything too dramatic. But you know what I mean. And we do have a child. I mean, we do have kids that watch, our young audience that watches this and listens to this podcast as well. So I got to be careful with my words here, guys. But because I don't want this podcast to be scary. I just want it to be informative and to kind of share my thoughts with you, and to get you guys' thoughts as well. I've come across in my lifetime, besides these guys, I used to be against having haunted dolls and stuff like that. Um, One of the very first cases I ever came across with a haunted doll was at a location in California. I think it was in Huntington Beach or something. I'm not going to say the client's name or anything, but she was telling me that her daughter was having issues, and her daughter was I'll call it open, or more sensitive to things going on around her than most people are. Um, and so she kept reporting seeing shadows in her room and stuff like that. Bear with me, I'm going to go sip of water here. But yeah, she was being terrified at night. She was getting kept up, having a hard time sleeping, didn't want to sleep in her room, stuff like that. And she was young. She was, what, 7 or 8 years old? So I can totally understand that. So she called us out, and we went out there, and it actually turned out to be a combination of a lot of things. The apartment they were in was not, the wiring in the walls was not shielded very well. It was an older building, probably built in the 40s. Back then, they didn't shield the wiring all that well. And so I went up to the wall, and if you've ever used like a K2 meter, I was actually using a more direct meter that actually had the numbers on it, so I could see where it was, and I could go up to the walls where the plugins were, and not only would this light up completely over, but I had one that had actual numbers, and it was off the charts, and it was flashing because it was so high. And I told her, you need to go essentially tell the landlord they need to fix this. We need to move, you and your daughter's headboards off these walls that have the plugins, and move this stuff away from you, because number one, it's affecting you sleeping. And so we did that. And like I said, sometimes it takes multiple times at a location to figure out what's actually going on. So we went back again because she called us back. She's like, "Okay, I'm doing better. I'm sleeping better, but my daughter's still having issues." So she had gotten this doll a couple weeks before. And what happens with the paranormal is that if you go, I can go into a location, and normally I can go in and go, okay, it's this type of case or it's that type of case. It's just human spirits, or it's something else, or maybe it's a poltergeist activity. Normally I can go in and I can pick up on the negative entity right away. And so when I go into these locations, sometimes these entities will hide. They will not show themselves. They don't want to be seen. And so we were in there doing we were in her daughter's room doing an EVP session, and she had a bathroom that connected directly to her room, so I was sitting on the toilet, and the other team members were sitting on the bed and stuff, and there was a doll, and I don't think it was like an old doll. I think it was a pretty new doll. I think it was only a couple years old. I don't know if they have got it secondhand or what, but she had this doll sitting on the top of her play box, where she had all the toys and stuff, and this dark, shadowy figure just stood up right behind the doll, right behind one of the investigators. I was like, "Oh, wait, hold on." And so we didn't get any EVPs. We didn't get any. EVP means basically when you record audio and you listen back for voices that you didn't hear when you were recording. Normally, what we would do is when we do an audio recording, everybody records their voice in a normal voice and in a whisper, so that we can go back later and listen, and then we go back and listen again and again and again and again and again, just to make sure we didn't like breathe or say something on our breath or whatever. But anyways, there was no audio coming from this EVP session. We didn't get any EVPs, which usually is a sign of something possibly demonic. So I'm standing there going, okay, and this thing just stood up. And I'm like, holy crap. Okay, I warned the investigator she needed to move. I'm like, there's something standing right behind you. You need to get out of the way. We need to get this taken care of. And so I told the client about it, and we blessed the doll, and we left it. And I figured nothing else was going to happen. That pissed the doll off. Oh, boy. I got a call like a day later, and things were moving around the room and all kinds of stuff. So I told her, you know what? They were moving anyways. They were leaving because they couldn't. The guy wouldn't come fix electricity, and essentially they deep sixed the doll. So I really hope it didn't go to another home. Hopefully she put it in a bag or something, and it disappeared. Hopefully never to be seen again. But yeah, we never got a name of the entity. We never got anything else. But again, that was a demonically possessed doll. And at that point in time, I just didn't have the resources to take that doll home with me and put it somewhere safe. If I was going to do anything, I probably would have buried it. We've had other cases where I've come across haunted objects. There was a kid that went to, not a kid, but a gentleman that went to, a younger gentleman who went to a ritual. I'm not going to say what it was, but a ritual. and didn't he was kind of trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life. He didn't know if he was going to be religious, non-religious, if he was going to do whatever. And again, I'm keeping this pretty vague, just because of our listening audience. I don't want to scare anybody or make anybody, basically think, oh, this is not for kids. But anyways, so he went to this ritual and he brought home a necklace, and we kept going to this location and trying to figure out what was going on. And again, 3 or 4 visits in, I finally figured it out. I'm walking through the house. I'm in his room. And I just felt like there was something in a drawer. Like, what's in this drawer? And so I kept looking at it, I'm like, dude, what did you bring? It just kept going through my head. Something's in the drawer. Something's in the drawer. Something's in the drawer. You need to get that item out of this house. There's something in the drawer. And so I finally said to him, I'm like, dude, where is, and for some reason, a necklace popped in my head. He's like, I'm like, where's the necklace? It just shot out of my mouth. And he looked at me and he almost started crying. And he's like, whoa. And his mom was very, very religious. And his mom didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know that he was going to these, and we're going to get a cat walking across again. Didn't know he was going to these events, let's just say. And so their family was and they were having a lot of issues. Sorry about the cat walking by. That's Mr. Binks. He just wants to be part of the podcast, I guess. Anyways, so long story short, we buried the necklace, and where they buried it outside, we put a whole lot of holy water. We put sea salt there. We put blessed salt on it. Anything we could think of to put sage. We put all kinds of stuff in there with it and buried it. And essentially found out later that it started to smell over there, and all the plants started dying around that area. And I'm like, that's fine, just leave it. Do not dig that back up. Leave it be. But it was just, I haven't followed up with them. This is like 15 years ago. And never heard from them again, which is fine. It means that hopefully they figured everything out, and hopefully they ended up being okay. But yeah, I mean, if you notice, I'm wearing a different necklace. I normally wear my other cross. This is the cross I'm wearing now. The cross it was a really cool cross. It had a almost like a dagger look to it, and that decided to get an attachment. So anything can get attachment, guys. I didn't know what it was. I was basically, I'm not going to go into the whole experience, but I had, well, I guess I should state this. I had a near-death experience, and I fought a demon in another place. Let's just put it that way, or negative entity, whatever you want to call it. This is my experience, so bear with me. It's just what happened to me. And I kept looking for this cross. And they kept telling me to look for a cross, this cross. You got to find this cross. I had no idea it was the one I was wearing. And so I was starting to become negative and frustrated all the time and all this other stuff. And I had no idea what was going on. And we're sitting outside actually building our chicken coop. And all of a sudden it just gets like ripped the hell off my neck. And I'm like, what the hell? And it wasn't until I picked it up, I'm like, holy crap. It was like, it almost burned my hand. I dropped it. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, oh no. And that's when it hit me, the cross. And I'm getting goosebumps as I sit here and say this. Sorry, they're playing. But yeah, so essentially that was a crazy experience too. That's not the whole experience. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but yeah, I mean, that was just insane. That was definitely demonically possessed. That is now, I do have that in a secure location, in a blessed location, in a very guarded location, let's put it that way. And that entity is not very happy about being in that location, still tries to reach out from that location. So even though, like we were talking about Annabelle being able to project herself out, or the entity that's attached to Annabelle is able to project itself out. I'm sure the entity's name is not Annabelle, by the way. That's just the name of the doll. That's what they named the doll. But the whatever's attached to that cross is very, 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 very strong. I mean, very, very strong. Sorry, that's what happens when you have a new kitten. They are loving each other. So essentially, that's in sea salt. I'm sorry, it's in blessed holy salt. It has blessed oil and holy water mixed in, and I don't remember how many different types of stones I put in there with it, but it's in a very secure location, so that thing cannot get out and cause problems. So I mean, I know how it affected me. I mean, it wasn't possession, but it was trying. It was trying to possess me. If I didn't have such strong energy around me, it might have succeeded. It really might have. I might have done something terrible in my sleep. So, anyways, all right, guys. So I was going to turn on the ghost box for the last couple minutes. If you're not interested in listening to this thing squawk, you're welcome to essentially tune out now. I'm going to move the ghost box over here, and we're going to try and give this guy, this little boy, some attention and let him see if he wants to talk. Is there anybody attached to Andy? No. So my question is decided to answer. I swear they use different electronics. All right, we're going to do this real quick. I'm not going to let this go over. Is anybody attached to Andy that wants to talk to us? In a little kid's voice. Oh, I feel that energy. Hey, buddy. Andy, you want to talk to us? Yeah. He's very faint. I can make a little kid's voice. Andy, are you there? Can you guys let him come through if he wants to talk? Can you see if you can get a clear voice on? All right, so it's like it's mainly just English now. We'll let them for about another minute. Does anybody have anything they want to say to us? And if you want to talk. Nobody? You don't want to talk, buddy? Okay, we're not going to let this go too much longer. Okay, last chance. We're going to close this box. All right. Goodbye. Okay. So every once in a while, most of the time, most of the stuff that comes through this box is just like you heard. It's just gibberish. It's hard to understand. It's not really anything that I would say is paranormal in nature. That box, if you haven't heard me talk about it before, essentially scans through radio frequencies, picks up on EMF and temperature change to create voices. And it's kind of like a spirit box on steroids, essentially. Sometimes voices come through that box like super clear, like I'm talking to you now, and sometimes it's not as clear. Sometimes it just kind of like you think you hear something and it's just not. You just can't claim it to be anything. So, anyways, we're gonna put this little guy back and let him go back to whatever he was doing, and we will catch you guys on the next one.